The United States in the navy, Australia in the yellow with green trim. Ron Gavori facing off for Australia against the University of Denver's Alex Stathakis of the United States. The U.S. is dominated in the face-off X in this tournament. Gavori rakes it back, though it's one on the wing by the U.S. And they push 4-on-3, and they start things off with a shot from Jackson Bonnets. Jackson has been carrying the flag here, entering fields and all throughout. The junior serving our nation at Navy. And Bonnets able to take it coast to coast. Bonnets with 2 career goals playing at Navy. First team All-Patriot League this springtime and an honorable mention All-American. He had to get permission to leave his summer assignment from the Naval Academy. He is a real thumper, and he's been splitting time at pole for the U.S. and Nick Myers. Stathakis, easy face-off win. So for the United States, once again on the attack with Alex Slusher, Brennan O'Neill of Duke, Cole Kirst, his second straight start. Brad transferring to Syracuse from Lehigh with Graham Bundy, Shane Knoblack, C.J. Kirst running the first midfield. And for Australia, Travis Wolf, a right-handed goalie. He'll make his first appearance of this tournament for the Aussies. Coach Gavin Levy carrying 3 goalies. Wolf was originally going to be an alternate, but Australia well stocked at the goalie position, and Wolf getting the opportunity. He was Australia's flag carrier at the opening ceremonies on Wednesday night. Kirst rolls back, down to Slusher. Beautifully done. How about that second rollback and patience shown from C.J. Kirst? 2-0 United States.
With the goal for the United States, assisted by C.J. Kirst. That puts the United States up 2-0 over Australia.
So Slusher adds his 5th, and he has scored in every game. But Kirst has assimilated well, only joining the United States in June for their training camp. So the U.S., after scoring 6 seconds in, 2 for 2 on possessions, and now 3-0 on faceoffs as Ryan Schreiber of Wilton, Connecticut, will be a senior at Michigan, is able to deal it back to Jared Paquette, who makes his second start of the tournament. Liam Entenmann of Notre Dame, the other United States goalie, along with Jacob Snyder and Virginia's Quentin Matsui of Eden Prairie, Minnesota. He makes his first start of this tournament at close D. So the U.S. into the box. The low D for Australia has played well with Samuel Bunchis, Victoria, Australia, Brock Gorley, and Edgar Ford, who spent a year at Rutgers Prep in New Jersey and was set to play college lacrosse in the U.S. before the pandemic threw so much off. Save is made by Wolf. That was Lance Tillman. Speeding from behind.
Travis Wolf with the save for Australia.
Wolf coming through the Phoenix Lacrosse Club in Australia. That feed to the crease, that is Tillman. After a couple of fakes. Well, at North Carolina, they call him Dance Tillman because his feet are so quick. That time it was quick stick work. 3-0 U.S. Timeout Australia. Cole Kirst on the feed. And the U.S. has not allowed the weather delay to impact them one bit. So Tillman's second goal. He'll be a senior in North Carolina. And this is a special week for him because his grandmother's from Ireland. And Tillman has dual citizenship. This is his first trip here. Native of Highlands Ranch, Colorado. So for Australia, Coach Gavin Levy thrilled with how well they played as a team yesterday. They had individuals put up big numbers. We'll talk about Lucas Kuchwara and Mitchell Baker in particular. But after losing 2 starting players on Saturday, to come back, they're still playing without starting attackman Connor McDonough and terrific D-Mini Douglas Brooks. They were able to follow that up so well. And let's show you how the Aussies took care of the Haudenosaunee yesterday. Lucas Kuchwara, after 5 goals against England, we'll show you the U.S. performance here by Graham Bundy 2 games ago. Bundy's outside shooting. This was the shot that he was able to put inside pipe. A couple of goals against the Haudenosaunee for Graham Bundy. And he leads the team in goals here with 9. Australia will go back to Ron Gavori to face off against the physical Alex Stathakis, as the wing pushes it to the restraining line. And scooping it up is Bonnets. And Bonnets goes back to Matsui. Here comes Paquette. West Islip, Long Island native, was the starter at Yale this year. And the U.S. with Bundy, the transition. Graham Bundy of St. Louis glides ahead. Brennan O'Neill got the pick. C.J. Kirst will wait for the U.S. to sub through. Bonnets, Slusher, and Tillman, the scores for the United States. Bundy trying to crease his angle. Wolf comes up with the save, and then a flag out. Now they'll stop the clock. It is a continuous clock, no matter if there are goals, but that might have been even a stoppage as Bundy appeared to be shaken up. It's an illegal body check for 1 minute on the closeout check on Bundy.
Illegal body check called on Australia. Will put United States man up for 1 minute.
So Bundy heads off after being shaken up, and the U.S. has already dealt with more than their fair share of injuries, as here's a timeout taken by Nick Myers ahead of this first man up.
9 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first quarter.
So 9:52 left, and for Nick Myers, Matsui starting today at close D. The U.S. will be today without Michael Alexander, who will be a senior at Yale. An outstanding week so far for him from West Islip, New York at close D. The U.S. also without Patrick Cavanaugh, who played so well in the first 2 games, 4 goals and 5 assists, orchestrating things. Cole Kirst has stepped into the starting lineup, and the U.S. certainly missing Cavanaugh's vision. And the U.S. has primarily been also going with Alex Stathakis facing off after having both Nasso and Stathakis in Game 1 against Canada. But all these countries trying to make it to Saturday and the final day of the tournament. It's truly about attrition when you have just 20 players. And after the first day or so, some of the athletic training interns were saying, okay, well, this is kind of boring. There's nothing really going on except carrying ice and water. And all of a sudden, after a game or 2, you started to see injuries mount for these two, really for every nation. You feel like everybody is going through it. And despite a day off here or there, Australia being down 2 starters at this point, just told you the U.S. missing at least 2 key pieces. And you've got to find a way to get to the finish line, and managing legs is such a factor. So the U.S. men up. Slusher turned it down, goal line extended. That's Shane Knobloch. Brennan O'Neill, room and time, and he scores despite the closeout check. Brennan O'Neill converts his 7th of this tournament. A man-up goal, and the U.S. leads 4-0 before Australia's even had the ball.
With the beautiful pass to Brennan O'Neill, and he finishes to put the United States up 4-0 over Australia with 9 minutes and 4 seconds left in the first quarter.
So O'Neill on that right side, able to convert. At Duke this year, 6 man-up goals, and leading the Blue Devils with 53 goals, 21 assists.
Full strength.
Stathakis this time pulls it out against Aaron Hill, the other face-off man for Australia. So right now that's the story, 5-0. Hackler down in transition, and the U.S. behind. Cole Kirst. Cole Kirst surveys his options, and the U.S. will sub back their first midfield of C.J. Kirst, Graham Bundy Jr., Shane Knobloch. O'Neill, around in front, it's touched in. C.J. Kirst by himself on the doorstep. O'Neill with the pass, 5-0 U.S. U.S. showing more patience there, and Australia caught ball watching a bit, and that is just too easy. So C.J. Kirst of New Jersey Power, Del Barton, the 4th youngest of the Kirst brothers. There will be a 5th, youngest brother, Caden, is a high school class, a 2024 goalie. And of course, the well-chronicled story, Mom Michelle, and the emotions of watching Rutgers versus Cornell, the Kirst brothers face each other in an NCAA Final Four game, as Kenny Brower had the chance at the face-off win along the restraining line, and Australia comes up with it. So first possession for the Aussies, and an uphill climb faces them. On the attack, it's Arlen Lim with Edison Pike and Ethan Buchanan. The first midfield, Lucas Kochwara, their leading scorer. Mitchell Baker, number 12 here, Rutgers-bound player as a international grad transfer for a year. And Ethan Moyer, the midfield for Australia. Lim with Matsui defending. Kochwara trying to run past Danny Parker, who trails in. And Kochwara has been one of the top scorers here at the tournament. Now for the outside, that's a good look for Harry Gibson. A little bit of a screen in front for Jared Paquette as well. Australia off the end line with Baker. Baker certainly fits the profile of an attackman. And talking to him a few days ago, he was excited about meeting Ross Scott in person here while in Ireland, his future teammate. Perhaps after this game, he'll have a chance to say hello to Shane Knobloch as well. Buchanan. Lim got inside of Matsui. Now the recovering defender and the ball on the ground. Great series of checks from Ryan Schreiber, and the U.S. causes havoc. And out of this pile of bodies, it is Kochwara, and he'll sprint to safety. Kochwara trying to take it out in front, and Paquette making the save high. Well, Kochwara has been shooting the ball great in this tournament. A team leading 11 goals, that's 4th in the overall tournament. And the U.S. gets the stop. Paquette whips it over here for Brendan Grimes. And Grimes, a bit unsettled, leads into a potential 4-on-3. So Grimes with Tillman and Bundy in this latest combination. Grimes, a big and strong midfielder at 6'4", 220 of Lutheran, Maryland. Plays at Johns Hopkins, takes it out in front as he looked to improve his angle. Backup belongs with the U.S. and Cole Kirst. Cole Kirst, speed dodge from behind. He showed him how it's done. Cole Kirst, 6-0 U.S.
Putting him up 6-0 over Australia with 3 minutes and 33 seconds left in the first quarter.
6 different goal scores for the United States, and the Kirst brothers feasting. Cole with 1 and 1, CJ with 1 and 2.
Still you, guys. Still you. Kenny. Russia.
Their family's patriarch was a goalie at Rutgers, longtime coach, and New Jersey Power Summit High School. And certainly would be so proud of having 2 players representing the United States with the last name Kirst. So after back-to-back goals by CJ and Cole Kirst, procedure called on Stathakis. And Australia's had the ball for really 1 possession. That's Edison Pike trying to take Kenny Brower out further. The U.S. had the day off yesterday. Most of the team went out to the famed Cliffs of Moher. Kajwara stopped, Paquette handcuffed, and Paquette out of cage. Takes a couple of hits, dispossessed, unsettled as Paquette recovers and gets back to his crease. So Australia riding hard, gets themselves a possession back. Pike works on Hackler, slips down, maintains possession. Off it goes to Ethan Buchanan. And now Baker. Paquette does not allow him to turn the corner. Off the recovery, on the open goal, well done! Baker with patience locates the cutter. That's Ethan Moyer scoring his first goal of the tournament. Well done by Baker just to never panic. Waited for Moyer to make the cut, and Paquette just not quite square enough to the shooter. So Moyer is the guy that's had to step up with the injury to Connor McDonough. And someone, Gavin Levy, says he's been the best player on every team he's been on, only 19 years old. And like the goalie Travis Wolf, also through the Phoenix Lacrosse Club that's in Western Australia. Stathakis, face-off, Wade takes it to goal! With the flag out, Stathakis just seconds after the Australians got on the board. His second of the tournament.
This puts the United States up 7-1 over Australia with 22.9 seconds left in the first quarter.
Well, the U.S. specialists have gotten involved in this one. 2 from Stathakis. Jake Caputo scored 2 against the Haudenosaunee. Patrick Hackler also involved offensively against the Haudenosaunee. And the late hit illegal body check against Samuel Bunchis of Australia. And it's a pair of 1-minute fouls. So the U.S. with a 7-1 lead, they will hold the ball And then we'll begin the second quarter without a face-off. And still 1:43 of a man up, or a little under that, actually, for the second.
That marks the end of the first quarter.
The U.S. scored just 6 seconds in after a 30-minute weather delay. Jackson Bonnet started it, and the U.S. rolling here in their final game of pool play before they start the medal round in the pursuit of a gold medal on Wednesday. 7-1 United States at the end of the first quarter from Limerick, Ireland on ESPN+.
She's in a better position to shoot right in front of that goal cage.
Hang on to that lead the entire second half. Beautiful shot again.
Just happy to be a part of it right now for all the younger generations and hopefully pave the way for them so little girls younger than me can become Olympians.
The United States here in Limerick, Ireland, all over Australia in the first quarter. They lead 7-1. Fortunately, the weather has held up to this point. We did have a 30-minute weather delay. The threat of lightning in the distance. So far, so good. Canada versus Haudenosaunee will follow this one at 7 o'clock local time. The U.S. begins the second quarter with still about a minute and a half on two separate one-minute calls against Australia. Kirst goes to Slusher, overhand rip. And that first quarter for the U.S. was their best quarter of the tournament, scoring 7 goals. C.J. Kirst down to the crease, Grimes waiting there for a tap in, more flags out against Australia, 8-1. So the U.S. now 2 for 2 men up.
Great goal for the United States, assisted by C.J. Kirst.
3 assists for C.J. Kirst.
That was the United States up.
And for the U.S., sure, Nick Myers thrilled with this nugget. 8 different goal scores to open up this game.
Slashing penalty called on Australia.
It is 6-on-4 here, or 3-on-1 here on the face-off. Because it's continuous clock, so if you're down a man, that's to your benefit. And that wasted time allows Australia to get back to 6-on-5 on the original pair of 1-minute fouls against Samuel Bunches expiring.
Next touch, 3 minutes, Slush.
And the last foul, 1 minute against defender Lachlan Bound. Kirst, Slusher, down it went, that's Knobloch. GLE, so a little bit of a different look for the United States there. Knobloch, the midfielder, coming from behind, and the U.S. showing great variety on their man-ups. So they're now 3 for 3. And make it 9 different goal scorers.
9-1 over Australia with 12 minutes and 19 seconds left in the second quarter.
We've seen Shane Knobloch shoot the ball from distance well in this tournament, and he's been aggressive from out there.
Australia's back at full strength.
And procedure called, this time against Stathakis.
United States results in
And Australia can momentarily exhale on the defensive end, and they'll get the ball for just the second true possession. And the U.S. has steamrolled them here early. 7-1 at the end of one. Back-to-back man-up goals to start the second quarter. Australia searched for a matchup, and Baker was able to orchestrate their goal with Jared Paquette trying to come out and cheat out. Kuchwara, and shooting with his back to goal. He has backup, and now he is down and favoring his right shoulder. And it's the hit on the follow-through of the shot. And Kuchwara caught in a position where he really couldn't brace himself. And for the Aussies, this could be a devastating blow if he cannot return. And it looks like Kuchwara will get some medical attention, and we'll certainly keep a watchful eye on that. On the very first possession 2 days ago against England, Australia lost perhaps their best midi in Swiss Army knife Douglas Brooks. As he was defending and was run over by an England player, he suffered a shoulder injury. Then about midway through the quarter, he lost speedy attackman who plays at Towson, Connor McDonough. He scored a goal against Canada, and he proved to be a handful with his speed and provided the Aussies something a little bit different. So now Kuchwara's shooting comes off the field, and Australia will have to readjust. As Harry Gibson replaces him out of Williamstown, Australia. Very good cutter, an apprentice electrician. Rolling back left, Arlen Lim. And a flag out against the U.S. So Lim with a tough dodge, and the Aussies celebrate that. It'll be a 1-minute slash against the U.S. Quentin Matsui. 2 days ago, Australia feasted against England in a come-from-behind 8-3 win. And England hurting themselves with 5 penalties, including 4 of the 1-minute variety. And the Aussies got some great work in man up. They start with Edison Pike up top on the EMO umbrella. Baker gives it up. Buchanan from the outside, the step down.
Australia's shot goes right. They will maintain possession.
So Coach Wara, who'd be the crease attackman in this case, off the field. Lim on the wing. Pike inside Lim. I think he tried to pull off a behind the back. Could not execute it as Australia swarms the ball. And they get on the hands of Brower. They force it back, but we are all even. Australia 0 for 1. And a tough handle there by Dylan Harari before Hackler got into the picture. So the U.S. balances up. And the shot number 13-8, so Australia has certainly caught up there. But they've had the ball very little. Lim. Got the pick on the wing, could not turn the corner. Another flag out against the U.S. So tough dodging from Australia, and they're beginning to get something out of it.
1 minute slashing penalty called on the United States.
So a 1 minute slash. Brian Schreiber to the box. Schreiber at Michigan has been splitting time at either pole or close D, but a day one starter in the lineup for Coach Connery the last 3 years. Kachwara still off the field for Australia, and now he is walking off the field, off camera, favoring his shoulder. So for the Aussies, the uphill climb just got a lot harder. Baker will zip it back to Ethan Moyer. Now Lim, the crease guy. Baker down into Pike, and Paquette matching sticks. It was open for Australia. They were very patient, and Pike could not change levels. Brower, and they're all over him, and turn over Brower again. Pike the ground ball. Australia will be guaranteed the 3 seed. So in the semifinals, it'd be in the same side of the bracket as Canada. Haudenosaunee, regardless of what happens in their game against Canada, they'll be the 4 in the same side of the bracket as the United States. Pike could not use the side screen. That is Brower that would not allow the pick to be set. Brower has been a ferocious defender here in Ireland. And now Mitchell Baker, good look. He had even an extra step or 2 in him. And I think that's what I've noticed watching the teams that face the U.S. and Canada. They put you under such pressure and duress. They speed you up so much, and at times you have more room than you expect in those instances, and that still seems to affect you. Baker, Matsui cutting him off. Another long possession for Australia. No shot clock in the international game as Moyer, as he tried to whip it over to Buchanan, and that ball just sailed on him. And perhaps the latest example where you're playing a little bit faster than you're comfortable or accustomed to playing. And some of the teams around here is Paquette with the running man Buchanan in his face, and Paquette handled a slash well and able to bounce it over here to Jacob Snyder. Jacob out of Calvert Hall, native of Fallston, Maryland, and playing for Nick Myers at Ohio State. Brower. And the U.S. into the attack for the first time in 5 minutes. They'll spend the timeout here, leading 9-1. 4:17 left, second quarter. The U.S. have won every single championship in this junior event. When it was named U19, now moving forward after this tournament, it'll be called the U20 World Championship. This is a special exemption to help all the athletes that have waited 2 years to play in this event. It was granted to be a U21, but the United States all-time has only lost twice. They are 8-time defending champions, 15-1 all-time against Canada. So without Lucas Kochwara, let's catch you up on what he has done. He's had back-to-back 5-goal games against Haudenosaunee and England, and that's why this is such a devastating loss. And all of his shots have been calm. He has not been a volume shooter. Just doing some quick math, he is, in these last 2 games, he is 10 of 11 shooting. And finding just nice pockets of space. Australia, to their credit, they have found him often, but he's also shown that he can move well without the ball. There was a no-look from Mitchell Baker here against the Haudenosaunee yesterday. 13-7 win. This one again, just drifting away from a defender with Haudenosaunee getting caught ball watching. And frustration there from Lucas Kochwara of Perth, Australia. The U.S. will go back to Brendan Grimes, looks like as the crease guy for this set. It is O'Neal, met by Bowater, the diminutive D. Medi. And he's got the heart of a lion. Can he deal with O'Neal? Pass high off the stick of C.J. Kirst. Now to Grimes on the outside. And that pings the cage. And the rebound goes all the way out. And it'll be pointed to Australia. It carried him nearly to exactly midfield. So Bowater drops it off, and here's Alexander Rubins for the Aussies. Australia, in their opener against Canada, it was their first game. Canada's second game on Thursday. They lost 18-3. And that's turned over, and here comes Danny Parker. But against the Canadians, who have just one face-off guy, they faced off just about 50%. So should there be a rematch, that will be of significance. And then they got pretty good goalie play despite the 18 goals. I know that sounds crazy, but Josiah Bidwell-Barton, I think at times stifled and slowed down some of the Canadians' momentum. But ultimately, the volume of shots that Canada had, I think it was 39, was just too much. And Australia with turnovers in the offensive end in their first game, they've certainly taken a lot of steps forward as an offense should they meet again. Saved there by Wolf as he got down and denied Cole Kirst. So Travis Wolf on the original roster, which was released back in the spring, or sometime probably in the fall of 2019, he was going to be an alternate. as he throws the long bounce in the clear to Ethan Moyer. And as Australia lost some players off that original roster for a variety of reasons, like everybody did, including the U.S., guys that were starting work opportunities. One of their players is now building F1 race cars in the United States on a mechanical engineering degree at Purdue. Life things happen. Another player playing Australian rules football. Wolf, an alternate, and as guys dropped off, he joined the roster. As Paquette outletted, here comes the U.S. Bonnets, as his pass skipped in on Slusher. And we're going to get a loose ball push against Lim. The U.S. will keep it. But there are flags down behind the play on the other end.
Offsides penalty called on Australia.
Australia offsides, so the U.S. will get a 30-second man up. Well, they've been lethal here, 3 for 3.
Hey, we're right in it, CJ.
Those were all of the 1-minute variety.
Hey, we're in it. First touch, Brennan. First touch.
Score is 9-1 in favor of the United States. Less than 3 seconds.
Grimes, flip pass, knob block to the wing. Grimes takes it. He hit Wolf at the stick on the rebound, and Slusher missed it. Rather, that was Bundy on the far side. It's out of bounds to Australia. So 13 seconds left. And Australia can just play some keep away here through Wolf. And this will take care of the half. Well, the United States blitzing the Aussies in the first 15 minutes. Only a 2-0 second quarter for the United States. Both goals on men up. But it's 9-1 United States at halftime. The Aussies trailed 6-0 before they ever got the ball. The U.S. with their best quarter of the tournament in the first. 9 different goal scorers have tallied. We're coming back with a look at first half highlights and stats.
It's coming. The world is coming to San Diego. 30 nations, 30 teams. Only one will be crowned world champion. There's nothing like playing for your country. This is the pinnacle of sport. Be here as legacies are forged and history is made.
Well, what a start it was for the United States this afternoon in Limerick, Ireland. Coming off of a 30-minute weather delay with lightning far off in the area. We waited it out. The U.S. took the field, got about 10 minutes to warm up, and then it took them 6 seconds to get started on a Jackson Bonnet's goal, and then they poured it on. Here's some of the highlights. This was O'Neal feeding C.J. Kirst on the doorstep, 5-0 at that point. The U.S. would get the ball again. That's Cole Kirst. This is all before Australia had a possession. So then it would be 6-0. Finally, they get the ball, and they end up scoring. Nice pass. Mitchell Baker with Jared Paquette coming out to try to double and hedge out as the goalie. Finding Ethan Moyer. The U.S. would get another right after that from Alex Stathakis in the next face-off. Their best quarter of the tournament with 7 goals, and they lead 9-1 at halftime. We'll be back with more, including our halftime numbers from Limerick on ESPN+.
Fasten your seatbelt.
The game you've always loved just found a new gear.
Introducing World Lacrosse Sixes.
It's speed and scoring.
Tempo and transition.
Athleticism and action.
It's big-time energy packed onto a smaller playing surface.
It's the game you've always loved, brought to you at warp speed.
It's lacrosse on the Autobahn.
Don't blink. This is World Lacrosse Sixes.
The stats at halftime with the United States up 9-1 and 17-11 in shots. Second quarter, Australia was able to defend the United States a lot better. 7-7 for that quarter in shots. But as I said, it was 6-0 before the Aussies ever got the ball, and 7 out of 10 for Alex Stathakis and the U.S. rope unit facing off. 5 saves in goal for Travis Wolff of Australia. Jared Paquette has made 4. The weather's held off. That's pretty comfortable. We hope it stays that way. 9-1 U.S. at half. So the U.S. back in the field, 9-1 over Australia. And again, regardless of this result, the U.S. is locked in to finish first in the Pool A standings. They'll get the day off tomorrow, and their schedule is set in terms of how are they going to shape up in the bracket. The U.S. will play against the winner of Japan and Germany. Oh, check that, the loser of the, so it's going to be the winner between Puerto Rico and Germany that play tomorrow. They'll face the United States Wednesday night, 7 p.m. local time, in a medal round quarterfinal. The top 12 teams out of the 23 advance here in Limerick. Unfortunately, Chinese Taipei, who had worked so hard going back to even the 2018 World Championships, where they had a ton of teenagers on the roster, all prepping and having a very young group to build with. Unfortunately, they were ravaged by the virus here upon arrival in Limerick, and they were forced to withdraw from the tournament. Tough situation, and we hope that that is the only virus situation we have. Chinese Taipei, due to their forfeits, they'll finish 23rd, last in this tournament. Stathakis continues his dominance facing off. He's now 8 out of 11. Australia keeps with Travis Wolff in goal to start the third quarter, and the U.S. with Jared Paquette on the other end. Graham Bundy, as he sweeps across, it's almost a head scratcher when you see him miss cage, the way he shot the ball here. Cole Kirst got the pick set for him, and Australia recovers well. Now against the D-Mini Rubens. CJ Kirst, the rollback, and around the defender. Bundy pops out. Save made Wolf. Cole Kirst got the help. Great ball movement. And Wolf came out to deny Slusher. Slusher did not have much of an angle. Ball to Australia. What Gavin Levy says that of our goalies, Travis Wolf is our most athletic. He can cover side to side. Had surgery over the winter and came back. It's been a journey for him just to have this privilege of starting in goal for the Aussies today. Slusher, and Wolf did not locate an outlet, now dropped it. Ball to the ground, Slusher towards an empty cage. Lays it off, then gets it back, then shoots and scores. Well, that was patience within some chaos for the United States. 10-1. Slusher, the U.S.'s first 2-goal scorer today. So the ride produces a goal for the U.S. It's been every kind of facet today. The ride, off of face-offs, transition, 3 for 3 man up. 6-on-6, of course, has been there. Aaron Hill to face off for Australia again. Stathakis could not win it cleanly. So the U.S. will get the job done with Jack Montfort. Montfort will get a midfield run at Yale, primarily playing got a D-midi in second midfield. That's Grimes using his right hand. First goal he scored in this tournament with his offhand. And nice placement here, and the confidence there to go off stick side. So Grimes with 2. Dad Ryan Grimes is here in attendance, making the trip from Maryland and watching his son play. Dad was a defenseman under John Danowski and Seth Tierney at Hofstra in the 90s. And Brendan growing up to be a big midfielder at a boys Latin, was the number 4 player in the class of 2020 by Inside Lacrosse.
Australia winning the faceoff.
Australia's first possession of the third quarter. Jackson Bonnets all over the hands of Baker. Trying to underhand the pass. It was blocked, and Bonnets swoops in for it. Jackson Bonnets, 2-year starter with a great motor at Navy. Jacob Snyder the clear. The U.S. after last Wednesday's 7-5 win over Canada in a real grinder of a game came out and put in 17 on England. Then they had 2 days off, came back and defeated the Haudenosaunee yesterday 13-2. And that game similar to this one where they had a huge first half. The Haudenosaunee continued to switch up defenses, and with the game kind of well out of hand, the U.S. settling for 13 goals. Cole Kirst. And the D-midi there, it's Dylan Harari, an attackman, stuck in there. Good pass across, O'Neill recovers, then one-hands it right at Wolf. So as Wolf stands his ground, he's got the stop, and here comes Edgar Ford for Australia. Big game for some of these Australian players. Ford has aspirations to maybe make it to the U.S. in January. He was set to perhaps play at Lynchburg, Division III program for 2021. Takeaway, Buchanan fires, and a save is made by Buchanan, right back in front. Baker is there. So Australia able to beat the U.S. over the top with the clear, and Mitchell Baker scores. Well, the lead pass was great, but Buchanan stayed composed and found the next man. Baker yesterday 3 and 4 against the Haudenosaunee. Had a super behind the back assist.
Puts the score 11-2 in favor of the United States with 6 minutes and 47 seconds left in the third quarter.
Danny Parker took a hit in the back, no call. He keeps going. Bonnets. Slusher rejects the screen, goes inside. Well, planted there on the doorstep is Slusher. Rather, Slusher on the feed for Cole Kirst. And the U.S. pushes the lead back to 10 again. Australia will take a timeout. So Slusher rejecting the screen, and the U.S. continuing to make progression as Nick Myers has hoped for. With each passing day, it's about evolving, getting more connected. Early in the tournament, looking for more transition opportunities. That's happened. They've had to juggle the lineup a little bit in the absence of Kavanaugh, and now missing an outstanding defender, Michael Alexander. But this is why you search for versatility when you cut down the roster. In November of 21, they brought in a couple extra guys to look at, and they played North Carolina and Ohio State in a day-night doubleheader. And Nick Myers telling me that even from the night session from the morning, you saw tremendous steps taken. Like, these are great players that make adjustments. They just need time together. And Nick has quoted the Ohio State legend Woody Hayes. Nick has grown up at Ohio State, 14 years as head coach and assistant. Before that, he's been at Ohio State now working on 20 years. And this is a different experience for him. unique privilege to coach the United States, and when you have a collection of talent on the menu, he believes you win with people, like Woody Hayes has said. Two goals by Slusher, Grimes, and Cole Kirst in this one. And the U.S. building on what was a 7-1 first quarter lead. And Alex Stakthakis continues to dominate. The U.S. has Jake Nasso on the sideline. Nasso and he split. Actually, Nasso was the primary guy against Canada's Beau Columbus opening night Wednesday. And it's been Stakthakis now the last 3 games. And hard to deny the results. And up to the second, Stakthakis, I think, is nearly 90% in this tournament. CJ Kirst frees his hands. He's got another goal.
CJ Kirst with the goal for the United States. And that puts them up 13-2 over Australia.
So he becomes the 4th player for the United States with 2. Well, in this quarter, the U.S., I think, has turned corners even with more aggression. You look at the dodge earlier by Slusher. And Australia called for procedure with Aaron Hill. Trying to move early, just trying to get a little bit of an edge to bounce it out against Stakthakis as Tillman is wide. O'Neill got the pick and then works it out in front. Brennan O'Neill continues the party for the U.S. 14-2.
Puts the United States up 14-2 over Australia with 3 minutes.
And they are now just wearing down the Aussies with all these physical dodges. And O'Neill shows no signs of slowing down at 6'2", 225. Stakthakis, this is a contested face-off. Gavori of Australia is able to get in there. Richards, the pole, had a chance to pick it up. And it's pointed to the Aussies. And for the United States, out of that mess, Jack Montfort came up with it. Bonnets skipped across for Tillman. And it'll go to Australia. Australia lost standout attackman Lucas Kochwara. That was a dangerous pass before Harari has it. They lost Lucas Kochwara in the first half with an apparent shoulder injury. And he has not returned to the bench. We have a timeout here taken by the United States.
The United States. There's currently 1 minute and 26 seconds left in the third quarter. The United States leads 14-2 over Australia.
The United States had 2 practices since arriving after taking a red-eye Sunday night. So this was certainly going to be a process. Every team has had it a little bit different. We've had teams that have, like Canada, that stationed themselves in Dublin for last weekend, getting scrimmages in. Canada got about 3 mini-game scrimmages in. The U.S. did not. And practicing against themselves with this kind of loaded roster with 8 college All-Americans this year in the spring of 2022. So that practicing against yourselves is certainly, you're not going to see much better competition than that. But defensively, Nick Myers waiting to see and anxious to see how much better we'll get on that end. Giving both goalies a look. Now with the injury to Alexander, that continues to shake it up a little bit more. His brother Patrick Myers of Lafayette is his defensive coordinator. And getting back to that, the scrimmage that they had against both Ohio State and North Carolina in November of 21, they got better at night, about 25% better that night against Ohio State than they did in the morning against North Carolina. So within just 1 day, and here the U.S. has continued to take significant steps forward. We've seen them look a little bit different on all 3 man-ups. Brendan Grimes a little bit in the crease. Out of the timeout, Australia shutting off on Brennan O'Neill right in the middle of the defense. So first time the U.S. has seen a lock-off. So the U.S. has to keep it in for this final 40 seconds, third quarter. Five more players for the U.S. have added their second goals here in the period. Lance Tillman. Now O'Neill setting the pick, freeing up Tillman.
Good job. Good job.
And Australia with the defender Bunchis able to catch up and recover. 10 seconds left. Off the dodge. Cole Kirst.
Cole Kirst with the goal for the United States.
He becomes the first player for the United States with a hat trick, 15-2.
Over Australia with 7 seconds left in the third quarter.
So Tillman doesn't force the shot with the left hand and just kept it moving. And the U.S. eventually getting an even better look. And the thought of keeping things very simple with no shot clock, the concept, and it certainly brings things back in the U.S. pre-shot clock, what a different world that was when you could have 3-minute long possessions.
That marks the end.
15-2 United States.
United States leads 15-2.
Cole Kirst adds 2 more. Alex Slusher, 1-1 in the period. The 6-goal third quarter. The U.S. turning over the Aussies there via the ride, and they're on their way to an unbeaten pool play tournament.
Have you booked that trip to Ireland yet?
Press the green button and visit the island of Ireland. See Ireland.com.
Well, there's just been no stopping the United States. 15-2 over Australia. Their tournament high in goals, 17 in Game 2 against England. U.S. in that third quarter shot 6 of 11. First quarter, even better, 7 of 10. Danny Parker. And the U.S. another possession. Face-off number now 14 of 20 for the U.S. Overall shots, 28-13 United States. And for the fourth quarter, Josiah Bidwell-Barton, Australia's starter, is in goal here. So he'll get some work in. Travis Wolf, while he was in there, made 9 saves. Kirst off the crease roll. That kind of lost his balance on the shot.
Shot goes above net. USA maintains possession.
Good drift, Brennan.
Cole Kirst saw the help defender. Knobloch misses a great look. And that's out of bounds. The U.S. does not get back up. So the shots, the U.S. now down to an even 50% shooting for the game after those couple of misses. So for Australia, these final 15 minutes have to be about figuring things out again on the offensive end. Without Lucas Kochwara, their leading goal scorer, and after losing Connor McDonough, that's 2 of their top 6, and probably, perhaps on paper, I think if you were to ask Gavin Levy and his offensive coordinator, those 2 probably would be 2 of the top 3 who they projected to be scorers. Offensive coordinator Mark Mangan was Division II National Player of the Year at Adelphi back in 1998. And he has coached against the U.S. a long time as a senior national team assistant coach back in 2010, and 3-time member of the Aussie Sharks. That's the nickname of their senior national team. These Aussies at the junior level are nicknamed the Crocodiles.
Where's his outlet?
Buchanan faking the skip pass.
Good composure. Harry, carry to it. Carry down low.
Gibson here for Moyer behind him. And the U.S. not allowing the Aussies to even set a pick on a wing dodge to try to freeze someone up, even blitzing out on that. That's how uncomfortable they make life for these opponents. As the U.S. transitions, Hackler down to Slusher. Slusher then continues and beats Bidwell Barton. That little hitch. And the defender relaxed for a moment. 16-2. And that's the attackman, Pike, that was in there. And to try to at least rough up the hands of Alex Slusher, to no avail. Alex's family both worked at Nike up in Beaverton, Oregon. Grew up playing a ton of sports, but fell in love with lacrosse. Well, we have, again, the projected weather in our area, and now our officials are getting word that we're going to have another weather delay for the second time. We were about to have the opening face-off, but just about a minute before it, we had a 30-minute delay. Here, in this case, there are a couple of raindrops that I see over on the tables and on the roofs of the canopies. So in this case, the weather might be on its way. Here, we're early in the fourth quarter, 16-2 United States. So now the game is in the tournament organizers' hands. Canada and Haudenosaunee is still scheduled to follow this one. Originally slated for 7 p.m. local time. Obviously, we know that is not going to happen. And that game is going to get pushed back further.
I think they started a fish in a barrel shoot over.
So indeed, the two teams will find somewhere to go indoors. We are disrupted in the midst of a 16-2 game. Early fourth quarter, the U.S. all over Australia. We'll come back after waiting out at least 30 minutes or more. And stay with us. We'll be back in Limerick, Ireland as soon as we can on ESPN+. Once again, for the second time, welcome back to Limerick, Ireland. We've passed another 30-minute window after lightning was detected in the area. And here we go with the score being 16-2 United States. We are in the fourth quarter, and we're just about a minute away from resuming action. Ralph Bednarczyk back with you. The U.S. once again went back to their dorms nearby in what's called the Kilmary Village. And it's simply a dorm complex located right behind the stands over there, right behind the flags. So it's that close to find some shelter. Fortunately, there was no precipitation. There was perhaps a couple of drops here or there. And Nick Myers and his team having to go by the rules. The lightning detector coming up with something on the radar nearby. We had a stoppage right before face-off exactly 2 hours ago. Waited it out for 30 minutes. The U.S. came out, scored 6 seconds in on a goal by Jackson Bonnets off the wing on the face-off, and the U.S. has never looked back. They put up 7 goals in the opening quarter, and for Gavin Levy, things have gotten more difficult after losing their leading goal scorer, Lucas Conchwara, in the first half to an apparent shoulder injury. He has not returned to the bench. They lost another 2 starters a couple days ago against England. They were able to rally back and win that one, but this one with 10:48 well out of reach. And of course, when you come back so suddenly after playing a game, you're trying to warm up again 8 to 10 minutes. And I think for Nick Myers, he would love nothing else than have this be the fastest 10:48 ever and get out of here healthy, head into the day off, and then they'll await their quarterfinal opponent on Wednesday. The U.S. will be the #1 seed regardless, and they will take on the winner between Puerto Rico and Germany. Those 2 teams will battle tomorrow night at 7 o'clock local time. 3 goals from Cole Kirst, Alex Slusher among the United States leaders. They had 9 different goal scorers accumulate their first 9. Shane Knobloch was one of them. CJ Kirst hitches left, and that's side netting on Josiah Bidwell-Barton. So Australia the other way. And for the Aussies, they are locked into the 3 spot. They'll await the winner Wednesday between Japan, 1-goal winners over Puerto Rico earlier in a game that was also delayed by the threat of lightning, and Jamaica. And Japan has been impressive here, getting out of Pool B 3-0. But they had to earn it against Puerto Rico, and Japan has played here with great depth and discipline. They don't necessarily have a couple of lead players that score all the goals. And for Australia, and if they're down also Kochwara, Gavin Levy was thrilled with the way that they responded against the Haudenosaunee. Next guy stepping up even during that England game. And someone else will have to do so here. They've turned to young Ethan Moyer, 19-year-old. We've seen a little bit more of Dylan Harari. He was kind of slated as the 4th attackman coming into the tournament. This is Mitchell Baker. And Baker around the U.S. defender, then dishing, and that ball knocked down. So recovering defensively for the U.S. with Jack Montfort. And Montfort, playing with a pole for the first time here at the tournament, is able to pick it up. So that's a little experimentation. Again, great versatility in this U.S. roster of 20 that has also been pared down due to a couple of injuries. Feet in front, that's a quick shot right in tight by Jake Caputo. And big Josiah Bidwell-Barton at 6'3", 230 is able to be a wall and stop it. The U.S. playing without services of Patrick Cavanaugh on the attack. That's the 10th save overall by Australia. Bidwell-Barton came in to start the 4th quarter. And Michael Alexander, close D. And in this game, we have not seen the other face-off guy, Jake Nasso, either. It's been Alex Stathakis the whole way. And wear and tear on face-off guys, always something to be concerned about. Canada with just one true face-off man in Bo Columbus. That feed in front, that's Arlen Lim getting a good look. Australia had back up behind from Ethan Moyer. As Lim will wheel back. Now an aggressive dodge there from Moyer to try to shake off the defender from the U.S. in Caputo. Gibson freed his hands around Hackler, missed the shot to the short side. Australia with backup. Baker now leaned on by Jackson Bonnets. Baker continues. Flags out. I think despite the score, Australia has made adjustments in terms of dealing with the United States aggression defensively. And they've learned to dodge through contact and not be intimidated by it. And they've been able to draw some flags. So Bonnets picks up the hold for 30 seconds. Third U.S. penalty. Australia 0 for 2, man up. And this is where they particularly miss Kochwara as kind of a crease guy and wing shooter. That ball by Baker, well, I think that was a pass intended for Harry Gibson. Somehow it went in. Or did it? Let's have another look. Australia was celebrating. I think the pass went in, but Gibson is in the crease. So wipe it off, and we remain at 16-2, 5 minutes to go. Canada and the Haudenosaunee will follow this one, and we can tentatively call that an 8 p.m. local time start, maybe a few minutes after. So that won't be delayed at least an hour. But fortunately, based on the radar, it looked like we were going to have thunderstorms. It was going to pour all night the way it did last night. Lance Tillman, Grimes, and the U.S. continues to work on different concepts in the midst of these lopsided games. And experimenting with personnel. This is Tillman to his left, and Bidwell Barton making the save. There's an example of the quick feet of Lance Tillman. Made 10 starts this year at North Carolina, 30 points. His high school coach for grades 9 through 11 at Valor Christian High School was the great John Grant Jr. Grant Jr. was the offensive coordinator at Johns Hopkins. Turning there from the outside, Alexander Rubens, easy save. The U.S. the other way. Australia held the U.S. to just 2 goals in the second quarter. Bundy got the short stick. There comes the cut. Nice screen set for C.J. Kirst. The U.S. moved the ball all around. Kirst makes it 17-2. And I believe that is the first time that the Kirsts have assisted on each other's goals. So CJ from Cole, 17-2. two older brothers. Colin just finishing up his career at Rutgers, losing to CJ in the NCAA semifinals. The oldest, Connor, graduating Rutgers in 2021 as well after 4 years at Villanova. A lot of goalies in the family. Cole and CJ on the offensive end. Baker, and look at Danny Parker knock the stick out of his hands, and that's playing without a stick by Mitchell Baker. Well, that's just relentlessness from Danny Parker, regardless of the score. A minute left in a 17-2 game, and Parker is diving all around. Parker will be a senior in Virginia with 2 years of eligibility. A late ad in the process. This process started in June of 2019 as the United States initially brought out 104 total players. 2 tryout weekends at U.S. Lacrosse in June of 2019, taking on the Hill Academy of Canada, Culver Academy of Indiana. And this is too many men in the field. Australia with 7 players, so the U.S. will get 1 more late man up.
Called on the field for Australia, resulting in a 30-second man up for the United States. Scored 17-2 with less than 20 seconds left in the 4th quarter.
So the U.S. looks like they won't bother to shoot here. They're going to match the 17 goals they scored on Thursday against England. So for offensive coordinator Pat Myers, they shot the ball incredibly well early. Defensive coordinator, head coach of Marquette, Andrew Stimmel, the defense continued with tremendous pressure. And the U.S. off to the medal round, generating the momentum I think they hoped to accumulate. 4-0, another lopsided win. And the United States, they've won every single championship in the 8 times it's been held. They are now 51-2 all time at the junior level. 17-2 is the final score today. Cole Kirst and CJ Kirst, each with 3 goals among the U.S. leaders. Still to come, call it right about the top of the hour or shortly thereafter, Haudenosaunee to take on Canada to wrap up pool play there. The Canadians at 2-1, they're locked into the 2 spot. For our producer and directors here in Ireland, Mikey O'Sullivan, my name is Ralph Bednarczyk saying so long and goodbye from Limerick. 1 more game to come before we wrap up pool play. The U.S. handily over Australia. We'll talk to you soon on ESPN+.